So when I walk the dog, this is the hand that I use to hold the leash. And then this is the hand that I'll use after I clean up her shit with the bag. I'm not going bare hand in there. And so what I just figured out is when I'm walking the dog and somebody walks by me and they want to wave, they want to be neighborly, they wave, but they say hi. And I can't wave with this because I got the dog. I don't want to jerk the dog. And so I inevitably hold up the bag as my greeting, like, top of the morning to you. So basically, if you live in my neighborhood, every time you see me and I'm walking the dog, you're going to be greeted with a bag of shit. Welcome in, everyone. Come on. One, come all. This is going to be a fun show. My name is Mark, and if you're not familiar with me, I do a lot of stuff that you may or may not have heard of. But the more important thing is that now I finally get to do my own show here on the YouTube. I've been practicing all week for this. I really have. And my patrons over at the Mark Ellis Live Patreon, you can join today, have been watching me experiment, put on the lab coat, fire up the Bunsen burner, and just see what it's like to talk to you just by myself in the comfort of my own mansion with the dog who's currently in the other room because she's going to come in here. I think we all know what an attention whore Molly the Wonder Dog is. She's going to jump on that seat in no time. In the meantime, it gives me a chance to welcome you all to my show that is still untitled. I have no idea what I'm going to call this thing, really what it's about, really why you're watching right now. But I can give you some good reasons to stick around. Number one is that my good buddy, comedian extraordinaire Chris Porter is going to be joining me for a little bit. He hangs out with rock stars. He's doing his own virtual show in a couple of weeks. He's been skydiving with Army Black Knights. He's worth your time. Then I also want to talk about comic book movies, not because it's a stock easy thing to talk about, but because for reasons I can't quite say just yet, I've been doing some podcasting and some piloting for one of the companies that I work for about a couple particular superhero movies. To put it in context for you, I just got done defending a movie that I can't stop enjoying, and I don't know why. Everybody has those movies where you know it's not that good, you know it's terrible in some parts, but you just have to love it. And Justice League is that movie. Justice League is that movie for me. I don't know how I got here. I really don't. I love Batman. I'm pretty keen on Wonder Woman. Don't know why I got here, but I'm just tired of everyone saying Justice League is terrible because I feel bad for it. I just feel bad for Justice League. It's been 3 years and I still feel bad for that. So I wanted to have the conversation, not about Justice League. I don't want to get down that rabbit hole again, but I'm curious, what was everybody's first comic book movie that you saw in a movie theater? I'll tell you mine in a little bit. But first, the best thing I saw this week, or maybe any week, is the domestic issue that a husband and a wife had over Taco Bell and their own space in their house. If you haven't heard this story, it's brilliant. Now, if you know anything about me, you know I'm single. I don't really pursue relationships. I don't want kids at all. Don't really want a house. I just want to exist like I currently am. And so anytime there is something that illuminates the struggle between a man and a woman living together, being a couple, I eat it up. I love it. I say that right there. That is why I'm going to die single, because I don't want this headache. But you tell me who is causing the headache. So here's the situation. This husband, I think he's like 25 and she's like 24. The husband loves Taco Bell, okay? And who amongst us is so holy that they can say with a clear conscience they've never even been to Taco Bell and had the craving for a cheesy crunch gordita or something? We all love Taco Bell. We've all given into the temptation. And that's what happened. But this guy took it to another level because he loves Taco Bell so much. The Taco Bell near him closed, God forbid, but he went there all the time. So he was buddies with all the managers, and he talked them in to giving him a bunch of Taco Bell memorabilia, not like a hat, like a crown you get from Burger King. This guy got a full booth from Taco Bell, and they just gave it to him. So now he has this own little Taco Bell that he made in his garage. And the wife hates it. She doesn't not like, she hates it. Guy's making his little man cave in the garage, and he's got the Taco Bell. He's got like a counter that he made. He's got the menus up there. He's got the signs, logos with bells everywhere. He's probably got the old school one and the Demolition Man one, and a Taco Bell booth where he can go to another Taco Bell, bring it home, and eat like he's eating at a Taco Bell. And she hates it. And I love this story because which side are you on? Which side are you actually on? You got to figure they're in their mid-20s. They hadn't been married that long. Who knows if they were high school sweethearts, if they met on an app at work. Who the hell knows how long they've actually been together? But this is one of those sticking points. So do you side with her or do you side with him? Because her argument is pretty evident. I don't want a goddamn Taco Bell in my house. Okay, I'm the one that's putting up all the pictures. I'm the one that designs the wallpaper and the floors and the layout. I'm making this home. I'm making this house a home. And you put a Taco Bell in the garage. Totally get her point of view. The guy has an interesting argument, which is, okay, yeah, I get that. But we said we could have our own spaces. We said we could have our separate spaces. You have your corner, your nook, whatever you want to do with it. And I have my garage. It's the garage. And I'm going to put a Taco Bell in there. That's going to be my excuse for a man cave, is going to be just sitting at a Taco Bell. And you got to wonder, what does a guy do when he's not eating at that booth? Does he just sit in the booth like a homeless person you'd see at a Taco Bell, just sitting there all day long? I don't know what the guy does, if he likes looking at it, but which side are you on? Are you on her side or are you on his side? I'd be on her side. I would be on her side. But he put it in the garage, okay? How much time are you spending in the garage, ma'am? Are you going out there a lot? If you're out there and you're doing some sort of welding or you're working on a car for the better part of the day, I can kind of see not wanting Taco Bell there. But if the guy, he put it in the garage, all right? Are you going to have your girlfriends over? Are you going to do a book club? And then you're going to say, oh, why don't we retreat to the garage? No book clubs in a garage. Let the man have his Taco Bell. I think they're going to get divorced, though. I think that's the outcome of this, because if Taco Bell is driving that much of a wrench in your relationship, and this guy is steadfast about keeping the Taco Bell, like he wants this thing there, I don't think it's going to work out. Now, here's the thing I will say. If I am the guy in that situation, I might be taking his side as an unbiased party just looking at this. But if I'm the guy in that situation, that Taco Bell's out tomorrow. Come on, dude. What are you doing? Just because I supported you doesn't mean you should actually install a Taco Bell or any fast food chain for that matter in your garage. It doesn't make sense. This is the love of your life, supposedly. Again, couples. Who can understand them? This is the woman that you had vows till death do us part. I don't know if the minister snuck in oh, hey, by the way, before you guys kiss, and I pronounce you man and wife, how do you feel about maybe putting a restaurant in your garage? Nope. Okay. I'm not marrying you until you figure this out. They already got married. You got to suck it up, dude. Sorry. There's plenty of Taco Bells where you can go and sit at. It gives you an excuse to get out of the house. Take the Taco Bell out, because then every moment from that point on, when he says he just wants his own space, guess what? You get to drive to Taco Bell. And if she says, why are you going to Taco Bell again? You say, well, I had one here, but you made me take it out. You win. Guys, being in a relationship, it's all about letting them win a majority of the time. And not just because they're usually right. Like most of the fights that I had with my most recent significant other, I lost. I don't think I want to fight, to be honest with you. I don't think I want to fight in 2.5 years. Just doing the math in my head. Let's see. Got together right around the first Captain America movie, and then we broke up around Justice League. So it was a lot of fights. It's probably 5 fights a week, maybe. I don't know. What's that? 500 fights, and I'm 0 for 500. Not a good record. If I'm a sports team, you're not rooting for me anymore. You have burned the jersey. Never want to fight. Never once want to fight. And with good reason. I was usually wrong. I didn't admit that during the relationship. That's why I'm here with you. Welcome in, everybody. Good to be with you all here today. So Taco Bell, that's one strike for Taco Bell. But now I want to move on to talk about some comic book movies and the first comic book movie you ever saw. Let's scroll into some of these comments, because I do like, I'll tell you the philosophy of this show. Okay. And then we'll get to some of your comments. I love fan interaction. I absolutely adore it. It's what makes this engine go. But I don't need super chats. I don't need Streamlabs. I don't need any sort of donation. If you want to donate, $5 a month is the Patreon, and you get a show like this every weekday. So there you go. Mark Ellis Live. That's how you can contribute if you want to. Not going to have a robot interrupt me on this show, which is nice. Not throwing any shade anywhere else. There's no robots here. I don't like them that much, but more importantly, I don't know how to do it. So no monetization on this show whatsoever. Just us hanging out and talking about movies, news, sports, politics, whatever the hell you want to talk about. And today, a big Showdown match coming up. 2 big Showdown matches tonight that I'm announcing. So this is kind of like the green room for the show. I mean, this is my pre-show routine right here. Just getting the vocal cords warmed up, making sure the camera works, making sure the light's okay. How do I look out there? Is it going to be better once I get a suit on? It's going to be good. It's going to be a good show. Yeah. Oh yeah, Peggy. I'm glad Peggy Gubens is here. I know she's a big Chris Porter fan, so it's going to be fun. So let me look at some of these comments. God, there's a lot of people in here. Thanks for watching, everybody. This just warms my heart. Hello, happy Friday, everyone. So we look at some of the Batman Returns. I'm seeing a lot of Batmans. I think Batman was a lot of people's gateway into the world of comic book movies. So when I was a little kid, we knew of Christopher Reeve as Superman. I never saw any of those in the theater. I wasn't born until like the second or third one came out, but we knew of Christopher Reeve as Superman. It was really cool. It was cool that Superman was a thing. But then Batman 1989 came at the perfect time in the Ellis family existence, because we had just gotten out of the Air Force. My dad had just gotten out of the Air Force, so we could settle in one place and not have to move every 2 years. So we picked Williamsburg, Virginia. That's where we settled. And we got there in the summer of 1989 is when we got there. And what was opening in the summer of 1989? Batman, the biggest comic book movie sensation. It ruled the entire summer. You could not walk 5 feet without hearing something about Batman, listening to a Prince song from Batman, seeing somebody wearing a Batman t-shirt. Did you know that Hanes actually sold out of black shirts because so many people were buying black undershirts so they could make their own counterfeit Batman logo shirts to sell them? That is true. They had the Converse where you could either get the Batman logo ones or the Joker logo. It was great. It was a great time to be alive and to be an 8-year-old kid. And we're going to Newport News, Virginia, which is the town over, which had the big mall, Patrick Henry Mall. And we're going to see Batman at AMC theaters. This is important for 2 reasons. First experience at an AMC. How do I know that? None of the other movie theaters that I ever went to as a kid offered nachos. And I had AMC theater quality nacho cheese, liquid gold, for the very first time watching Batman 1989. Think about that for a sec. You're a chubby kid. You love Batman. You're looking at this gigantic screen. Remember how that movie opens? It's just a kick-ass Danny Elfman theme. And we're just basically doing close-up shots, vanity shots of the Batman logo. So I'm looking at all that, witnessing that in my ears, in my eyes, and in my mouth are just delicious chips of nachos with this new way to do cheese that I had never discovered before until that moment. And it was just the best 2 hours of my entire life. It's funny because my brother and I were very excited to go see Batman 1989. Why? Because Beetlejuice was in it. Michael Keaton was in it. We weren't like fanboys back in the day where we'd write a petition to Tim Burton because we didn't think Michael Keaton was good enough to be a superhero. No, we just loved Beetlejuice. And we're like, if the guy can be an undead ghoul, I'm sure he can pull off Bruce Wayne just fine. My mom was pumped because she loves Jack Nicholson. So she wanted to go see the Joker. Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom, cute. She's there for Jack, and all of us got what we wanted. So Batman 1989, first theater experience, and the matriculation from movies in the superhero realm from there, it didn't really take off after Batman 1989, and I can't figure out why. Ninja Turtles came out the next year, and that's a superhero movie, and then Batman had some sequels, but it was still, you didn't get a lot of them. And then Batman Forever came out, and that was, really? We put all that time and effort anticipating this? Batman and Robin was even worse. And then something started to change. Then we got a couple cool Blade movies, and that was pretty neat. We had misfires. We had like the Phantom and shit like that. But then we got X-Men. And X-Men was coming at the right time to shift into a new millennium. Because X-Men, I think it came out in 2000. I don't compete in the Showdown anymore for obvious reasons. And I think that it was in 2000 when we saw X-Men. And I remember watching X-Men and having a different feeling. Because I saw Batman. I was just happy to be seeing Batman eating nachos, making my fat ass. I saw X-Men, I think with my little brother. And we walked out of that theater like, we can do anything now. Not we as 2 idiots from Virginia, but we as in movie fans, we can see anything on screen because the effects in that were revolutionary. We had gone past the age of Jurassic Park and having CGI work in movies. I told you she'd show up. And X-Men was kind of the breaking point for that. So I'm sure the director is a piece of shit, as we've heard, but man, what an awesome experience that was. And from there, you'd think, here we go. Here comes comic book movies. Not so fast. A lot of folks, myself included, we're still recovering from Batman and Robin and how jokey and cartoony, and it just seemed like they were just trying to sell it to kids. It turned into Batman 1966, where it's like, hey, we know adults don't care about this, so let's just sell toys to the kids. And me, being an adult by that point, is like, no, I really give a shit about this. Can you please make a movie like this? So we had X2, X-Men United, which was awesome, which was for adults. And I think maybe that was the movie that Christopher Nolan was like, I think this would work for Batman. And we just started doing these graphic novel adaptations instead of, hey, the kids love comic books. And Batman Begins came out. My story of Batman Begins, not so fun as Batman 1989, because my first time watching Batman Begins, it was a Netflix DVD that they sent to my apartment over on the other side of the hill on Cahuenga. I used to live right under the 101. Because I'm a success story, and Netflix found a mailbox I didn't know I had, and they stuffed the Batman Begins DVD in there, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. And then I think that was the first time that everybody else in the world, whether you would say the MCUs or the DCUs of the world, were like, okay, something changed here, because this guy was a punchline. Everybody hated Batman and Robin, unless you love it for the dumb drinking game you can play with it, which is a lot of fun. You see Batman Begins, and you're like, wow, so we can have one of the worst comic book movies ever in 1997, and then 8 years later we can remake it with the same character and nobody's gonna care. Oh, this is brilliant. So then we get the MCU and we get Iron Man, and Robert Downey Jr., perfect time in his career, rebounding Iron Man. We've heard of Iron Man. Is it a Sabbath song? It's a comic book character. And then you get the Incredible Hulk, which again, remaking from 4 years before with Ang Lee's disaster of a Hulk. So it just started to skyrocket from there. And so the reason why I bring all this up to you kids out there, enjoy every one of them. I don't care if it lets you down. I don't. Okay. Batman v Superman. Do I think the ending sucks? Yes, I do. Do I think that the name Martha, is how you're going to stop running a kryptonite tipped spear through an alien who you fear's heart? No, I don't think it's going to happen. But again, I got to see Batman and Superman fight on screen. Justice League, I got to see like 5 superheroes on screen together. Is it a great movie? No, it's not. It's not even really that good. I'll defend it, but it's not really that good. But god damn, what a time to be alive with comic book movies. So next time we're all fighting and arguing about, oh, this movie, just remember that you were alive in a time before we got all these comic book movies left and right. I mean, we live in a day and age now, we're wondering when we get to go back to theaters. So if this pandemic doesn't remind everybody how special it is to be at a movie premiere, opening night, and you're sitting there, and maybe it's not the best Batman movie you've ever seen. Maybe Robert Pattinson sucks as Batman, but we still get to go see Batman, and we still get to go opening night, shoving popcorn in our face, surrounded by our friends with no masks on. That's going to be a glorious day. Until then, wear a goddamn mask. Just please, just do it. I'm not going to get too political today, but just just do it. Just do it for a month, okay? Just do it, please, for me, because all of us mask wearers really feel like shit. We're doing our part, and it's like, can you just put the thing on? Come on. All right. So let's see. Let's go into the chat a little bit. We're going to go for like another, 25, 30 minutes today, getting y'all hyped up for the Showdown and then talking about this stuff. Let's see. Haskell, this is a good one. First experience to see a comic book movie was to see Flash Gordon. That's a good one. Can anybody beat that? Can anybody beat that one? Ronnie's here, says Batman Returns on VHS. Didn't know English as a kid, and so hey, if you didn't know English as a kid and you learned it from Batman, you might be prone to shouting a little more than you maybe you're aiming for, because Batman, once he gets in the mode, he's ready to go. But that's a good story. David Taylor, first comic book movie, Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man was nuts. Spider-Man, I was taken aback by it because Spider-Mania happened in a way that I thought Spider-Man was going to be a big movie. I thought it was going to be a big release and everybody loves Spider-Man. I didn't realize how much people love Spider-Man. And I should have given that more credit in my little diatribe about comic books movies, because Spider-Man came out and was just monstrous. Spider-Man 2 is even bigger. So I saw Spider-Man 2. It was one of the first movies I saw when I moved to LA. And I'm there with a few of my friends, and we went to ArcLight. And ArcLight, if you don't know what ArcLight is, it's just the fanciest movie theater chain you could ever imagine. They have a fine dining restaurant in there. You see movies in this huge, giant Death Star looking place called the Cinerama Dome. And it's fun. It's expensive. And the caramel corn is highly over. The popcorn there isn't really not good either. But we're there eating dinner and like having a beer before the movie. And it's a big restaurant area. Jack Black walks in and just sits down. And that was one of my first celebrity run-ins, just because it was a bustling restaurant. Like because everybody's going to see Spider-Man 2. And all of a sudden, Jack Black walks in, and it was so weird because everybody stopped talking. And it was like, blah, 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 because everybody's looking at Jack Black, and he didn't like acknowledge it or anything. He just like he's used to it by then. And he's just like, all right, it's just something we got to get through. And people eventually start talking again, but everybody did the same thing at that moment. And I was like, God, that's gotta be a mind fuck, right? Like you just walk in and everybody shuts up. It's a weird power trip. So I saw Spider-Man 2 with Jack Black. Best friends there. Yeah. Hey Bob, thanks for making it on time. So yeah, reserved seats at movie theaters, as Peggy points out, are one of the best things to happen, for sure. I like the reserved seats. I'm a fan of that, but I still love seeing movies in an empty theater with nobody else. I don't care if my seat's reserved. I just don't want to be around people. This is a good one. Troy, Dick Tracy was your first comic book movie experience. The Real caught fire. Oh, man. So they got you the hell out of there. Yeah. They got you the hell out of there. That's good. Oh, thank you, Haskell. That's way too nice. Yes, be like Christopher Woodburn, hit that like button. But again, I'm going to be totally honest with y'all. I don't really care if you hit the like button. I don't. I love the live comments. I love everybody watching. You don't need to hit the like button. You don't need to rate this, or review it, or retweet it, or anything. This is for me, and I hope y'all get a little kick out of it. Oh, that's good. And you see it in Iowa. You see Superman in Iowa, and it's like, yeah, this is right next to the state where the guy crashed. So, but you don't need to do any of that stuff with me. Just enjoy the show. What I think this show is it's basically like ambient noise for you. I know there's a ton of shows that you watch and you get invested in, and you love all the personalities and the characters. And I might be one of them on some other shows, but for this, it's going to be me talking. I don't really love interviewing folks. I don't know if I've ever made that public before. I don't like interviewing people. I really don't. I like hanging out with my buddies and occasionally doing it online, like what's about to happen in a little bit, but I just don't care. Because it's not that I don't like talking to people. I do like talking to people in person. After we tape a Showdown or we do a live theater, I'm at the bar and I'm hobnobbing with everybody, and I love hanging out with everyone. But an interview, there's so many other things to worry about that nobody really thinks of. An interview, okay, how's your mic? In this day and age, how's your connection? Can you hear me okay? Can I hear you? Are you going to ramble? If I ask you a question, you're going to answer it? You're just going to act like an asshole? There's just so much to consider when doing an interview, and I don't really get a lot out of it. And I'm a very selfish person, I guess, because I don't really want to talk to anyone on my show. It's my show. I can do whatever the hell I want. Yeah, I do. I do like the fan interaction. Saw The Last Dragon. It felt like a comic book movie. Oh, that's cool. All right. That works, Daniel. That's pretty sweet. David Taylor saw Tenacious D last year, one of the best concerts you've ever been to. We should do that for an upcoming show, is talk about the best concerts that you've ever been to. Future show. You don't have to raid the chat room right now. But this Showdown that's taking place tonight is one of the ones, and I talked about this earlier on the show this week. It's just, there's something different about the community and the competitors, the managers, even the way Harloff and I announced it a little bit. We all had to change to do the virtual Schmoedowns. And I think it's just become a little more palatable for me to do them the way we've been doing them, because we'll film maybe 1, 2 in a day sometimes. And you just get so invested in it, because when we film studio matches, I've filmed 8 studio matches back to back to back in a day. And it's a lot, in that you don't really get to enjoy the storyline or the characters or any of the other stuff that's going on, because it's just in and out. And now I get to dip my toe in the water a little bit. And I really enjoyed it. Just getting to sink my teeth into that aspect of it a little more. So then you have these pay-per-view matches, like what I'm sure a lot of you are going to be checking out tonight. If you're not, go to the schmodownlive.com and get your pay-per-view ticket for the championship match, singles championship. What's better than that? Ethan Irwin taking on Dan Murrell for a belt. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait to announce it. I'm sure there's going to be hiccups. I'm sure there's going to be challenges, because that's what you get when you get to this level of competition. You want to make sure every inch is covered, and there's going to be somebody challenging it. And I say, bring it on. I actually do relish the role of having to mediate, because I think a lot of folks assume that comedians love breaking the rules, and we do. We do. But I'm also a fan of sport, and I'm always amazed at how referees can keep their cool and sometimes call a technical foul or throw someone out of a game, but also just deliver whatever the message is, whatever the penalty is, whatever the ruling is, in a clear, concise way, and then move on with the game. The best refs are the ones that you never even notice. And so when there is a challenge that comes up, I want to work with Christian, and we'll bring in some other judges too, just to make sure we have the right ruling, and then deliver it and move on with it. And fans love talking about it, and you can't get mad at that. You cannot get mad at fans questioning your ruling afterwards. I welcome anybody to say whatever you want about the rulings I've made or that we've made over the years, because that's what I do. It's the same exact thing I do. When I can't watch an NFL game without bitching about something that the ref did that I thought was inaccurate, a bad spot, a bad call. You missed something, you threw a flag when you shouldn't have, you called pass interference, or you didn't call pass interference. I'm no better than anybody else. I will yell at my TV here by myself. She can tell you, it wakes her up. And so I don't have any problem with people criticizing the way that we rule a particular judgment. I hope it doesn't happen often. I walk into every game, I think the same way that a referee walks into a game, thinking, God, if I don't have to blow my whistle once today, what a day that's going to be. I don't think it's going to happen. And it's what allows the competitors to do their job and focus on their craft, because they know they have managers that are going to jump in if something's wrong. And we're there to set it straight. So you can do you and I'll do me. And it just turns into this one little present for all of y'all that you can open. And again, criticize the hell out of me. I really don't care. I enjoy it, quite frankly, because I like being talked about. It'd be nice if people would bring up that I used to be good at answering movie trivia questions and not just I'm okay at ruling at them. But hey, you do you and I'll do me. But I'm really looking forward to the match. And a great teams match is the undercard. So we really put together something special. And I'm the least important cog in this machine. In this Schmodown thing, I am the least important person, and I fully acknowledge that. But I love doing it, and I love that y'all enjoy watching it. So thank you to all the fans out there. They're going to be tuning in a couple hours here to watch the big matchups tonight. And the other thing that I love doing, the thing that I love doing most in the world, is not available right now, at least not in the way that I know it, and the way that a lot of my friends who also do this weird thing know it. We love getting on stage, and we love telling jokes. And we can do it at certain times as I fix my background. Ah, damn it. Where's my remote? Where's the remote? Can you do anything for Papa? No, she really can't. So let me go fix that real quick, and then my special guest is coming in. Actually, you know what? Here, I'll do this. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy is not only one of my good friends, he is a great comedian. He has a new special, Man from Kansas, that you can check out from Comedy Dynamics on a bunch of different platforms. And more importantly, he's doing a live show virtually from San Francisco in a couple weeks. You can get tickets in the description of this vid. Just go to his Instagram and check everything out. He's a comedian. He hangs out with rock stars. And one time he jumped out of an airplane. He is the one, the only. Mr. Chris Porter is here.
What up, man?
What's up, dude? How you been?
I've been good. How are you?
I am not as relaxed as you. This is like yoga Chris.
Yeah, well, welcome to pandemic month 5.
You and I had we got to enjoy a social distance beverage, a couple of them actually, and just kind of catch up. And since then, it's like you're really one of the only humans that I've actually interacted with in person. Are you out there though? I mean, I think I've seen you actually do a few live dates as well as do these virtual shows. So are you out there touring, like currently in the world?
Yeah, I did Tempe in early June when we thought We were on the back end of it. Oh, those were the days. And and then and then I did Raleigh not too long ago, and that was weird. And I was somewhere else too.
Were you in Good Nights in Raleigh?
I was at Good Night Raleigh. Oh, and then I did the American Comedy Company in San Diego, where I performed on a sidewalk for 3 nights.
I saw that picture, and Chris, I got it. As soon as I saw the picture, I was like, "This reminds me of being there at Comic Con," because I usually do American Comedy Company every year when I'm down there for San Diego Comic Con, and it's like the streets are all packed with people anyway, so it wasn't like that shocking to see that. But what was it like performing on that sidewalk, and just what do they do? Just have fans like line up around the block so they can hear you?
Yeah, I wish they were lined up around the block. They were about 40 of them sat in on the sidewalk. Some of them were in the street. Obviously it was roped off, but other than that, the street was active. So like people were walking by, and if people hung out for too long, they had a guy that would like come up and be like, "Hey, you either got to pay or keep moving." And then, but yeah, like got heckled by an ambulance.
Yep.
They have these like rickshaws that like play music that would drive by. It was it was an obstacle course of comedy. And
you basically become like the TV in anybody like walking by a city, and there's like a big TV and it's like a breaking news story, so everybody gathers around the TV to watch it for a little bit before moving about their business. So you just have a bunch of people staring at the comedian for a couple minutes, then they just keep going about their night.
yeah, and meanwhile, like you just said fuck twice, and like an 8-year-old kid walks by, and you're just like, "Sorry, I didn't see you."
What about the virtual shows? Because this is a fun announcement I forgot to make earlier. So I'm doing my first virtual headlining show. I'm going to be live from the legendary rock venue, the Viper Room, and that's going to be in September. So I'm really looking forward to it. But I've seen you've been doing these, and you have a new one coming out August 28th from San Francisco. And everybody can go to Chris's Instagram. It's in the description of this vid, and get your tickets. I think they're only like 10 or 15 bucks. What is the virtual experience like? Like, what's the setup going to be for this show?
Well, first and foremost, since you're doing your show at the Viper Room, as I say to all my friends when they go to the Viper Room, don't die right outside of it. Okay.
I might be dying inside it like the whole show.
That's fine. Just don't do what River did, because it's at this point it's hacky. He did it.
Yep.
It's done. Try something.
It's his
else.
bit. It's his joke. Can't take
his
it.
Bit. That was his bit. Actually, okay, so Rush Ticks, there's a bit of confusion. RushTix.com is based in San Francisco, but I'm doing the show from right here in my living room in Los Angeles.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But the virtual shows are weird. They're fun. I mean, they are what they are. Like, it's fun for your fans to be able to interact with you once again, and it's fun to do the shows, but you're still dealing with the internet. And so like it's a weird thing of you tell a joke, and then there's a full, not kidding, like a full second between you telling the joke, them hearing the joke, them laughing, and then you hearing the laughter. So it's like telling a joke and then just putting your dick in the wind for a solid second and hoping it all pans out. And so it's a lot of punchline, laughter. Okay. All right. And so you have to kind of slow down for that. And then also, there was one where I was like, oh, this bit is just tanking. Like, I must have messed up the setup, but no one's getting it. And then after the show, they were like, so you froze for like 3 minutes. And you're just like, well, fuck. And so it's hard to deal with that. But I mean, these are the times that we're in. So you have to adapt and overcome. And, I never thought I was going to have to buy a webcam, but that had to happen during, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just a weird, times are weird, and you have to adapt or start postmating. So
Yeah,
I'm
right.
doing this.
Which I do for food. I do a weekly run. The only thing that I'm getting outside of making the shit myself or going to Whole Foods is I go to my favorite as you know, my favorite place to eat is Wood Ranch Grill. I love it. Um,
Okay.
and so I do like a weekly pickup there, and they have my order. Like as soon as I call, they know they can hear my voice, and they're like, "Oh, you want your barbecue chicken breast, Cajun black, and all that stuff." And so I just go and just like make my weekly pickup. But here's the weird thing about it, Chris. I loved eating at restaurants, and I love going out to bars. Like my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't miss it that much, and I don't know when I actually am ever going to feel like going out to a restaurant again. I don't want to do it now because I don't want to have somebody waiting on me with 3 layers of mask and then I'm just there with no mask and I just feel like this weird superiority thing that I don't want to embrace.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me that I don't have the desire to go back to restaurants, which I used to love?
I think you just start getting into this, like you've been in your cave and you don't want to go out, but you also don't want to wear Kleenex boxes on your feet. So it's like there's a happy medium. I, meanwhile, just literally got back from a trip where I went to 2 COVID hotspots and went out to dinner every night. So I don't know if you're talking to the right guy about that. But
Where were you? Were you in Vegas?
I went to Vegas and then to Phoenix. I doubled down and I immediately got tested when I got back. I'm waiting for the results. But yeah,
I mean, I can tell you what the answer is if you want to know.
I have never been more aware of if I can taste or smell things in my entire life.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'll like taste something. I'm like, wait. No, I tasted. Okay, thank God.
What's the scene in Vegas like right now? Is it just people everywhere like usual, or is it less
Dead.
so?
It's super dead. It's almost weird. We were in the car driving from the airport to that hotel, and we drove down the strip for a little bit, and I've never seen it like that. It's so dead. Everyone in Vegas was good about masks, even outside at 114 degrees. Pretty much everyone was wearing masks. So I never felt like I never went to the pool. I never went to or at least the pub. Like I went to my friend's pool, but he was staying like in like where they have like their own pool with like 8 people.
The secret
But
Vegas hotel pool. Never been able to crack that code. It's like I check in and you're performing the casino, so you figure you get like a pretty nice ride there, and they're like, oh, the pool's over here and all this stuff. And then there's
yeah,
like this secret celebrity pool that you didn't know about until the last night you're there, and you're like, well, why the hell? Who gets to go in that pool?
they're like, not you, but you're with this guy, so you're welcome. And so yeah, I felt very comfortable most of the time. I made sure not to gamble just because like I felt like financially now's not the time to just be pissing away money on splitting tens. And then which I like to do just to be a dick sometimes. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
but yeah, so I just, I was as careful as I could be. And, I was very fortunate. I rode on my friend's plane, so I didn't even have to really deal with the airports that much. So,
See, this is the real cool thing about you, and I've always valued your friendship. Trust me, a night out with Chris Porter is good enough for Mark Ellis. I'm not asking for anything more than that, okay? But you're friends with like super famous rock and roll stars. They all love you. You mentioned the name Chris Porter to them, and it's like you just gave them a Wonka bar with a golden ticket in it. Everybody in that world is such a huge fan of yours. How did you get into being friends with all these rock legends?
luck, fortune is a lot of it. Uh, also just kind of, I don't know. When I meet them, I know how to talk to, like, I know a lot about music, so I can speak their language. But also, like, if you're a comic, they're already kind of into you because you share a stage, so you can speak a language that they can't really speak with other people, and B, like, you usually tend to treat them a little more like a normal person than other people would. Comics know enough just from dealing with their own fans. So, like, hey, if you are talking to Chris Robinson, don't ask him what he was thinking when he wrote "Thorn in My Pride." Like that's the most. Like, you just kind of have to run shit through a filter of like, if someone asked me that, would that creep me the fuck out? And if you just kind of go by those rules, and then, especially once they've seen you perform, they
Yeah.
they're fans. And with Kid Rock, it was a little different because he booked me on his cruise. And to be honest with you, when they booked it, I just figured they called my agents and were like, we need a rock and roll comic for this rock and roll cruise, man. And so they put like, that's kind of my vibe. So I figured that's what happened. And then a few weeks before, because like you book a gig for like 3 months from now.
Mhm.
And so in that 3 months, I happened to be hanging out with Steve Trevino, our good friend from the Comedy Store. And he was like, dude, weird thing. I was hanging out with Kid Rock. He's a friend of a friend. And he did like 3 of your bits and quoted you. And he's like, he's a big fan. And so that's when I was like, oh, this dude's a fan. So that when I got on the boat, I just literally, he showed up to one of the shows that I was at. And I just went and stood behind him until he fucking turned around to talk to somebody, and he saw me. He was like, hey, come here. And then we were friends ever since.
That is a great story. That's just so cool. But you're right, because as soon as they see you on stage doing what you do, and they know you're not just like some weird hanger on, that you actually have ability to be on a stage and tell jokes. When you open for a band though, and everybody's there to see the band, that's because I've opened for like music acts doing like corporate gigs and shit like that, but never at like an arena where fans just went to see their favorite rock band. What's that scenario? Is it tough? Do you have to just go out there and win them over right away? Like, what's your approach to opening for a huge band?
So the Kid Rock stuff, my shows are at a completely different time. Like I'm never really opening for Kid Rock. Like the closest I've ever done to that is I went on at 4 in a building over there, and he went on at 9 on a stage over there. And so, I opened for Ryan Adams once in Santa Barbara. Don't know him. Never actually met the dude because it was funny enough. My other friend's band was performing in LA and I wanted to go to that. So I was like, I'll come open, but no, just tell him in advance that I'm not going to hang out. It's not because I don't like him. It's just that I have other shit to do.
I'd love to see Ryan gets off stage and he's like, hey, where's Chris? I thought he was going to hang out and watch my set.
Well, we'll get to that. So fucking so I do the set, come off, and my buddy's like, hey, Ryan came and watched like half of your set. I was like, great. And then Adam Egget from the Comedy Store, I'm getting back to LA as fast as I can. He was like, did you just open for Ryan Adams? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, because I just showed up and you're all anybody's talking about. And I guess at one point, like Bryan Adams is doing like something like everybody's having fun tonight. And he sang like Chris Porter rocked the house tonight. I wasn't even there for it, bro. And so that went really well, but I can't. And that was actually the worst setup for me because like I got side stage and they're like, all right, we're going to cut the lights and you go out there. I was like, oh, there was no voice of God announcing me. Literally lights down. I walk out. And like, you just hear the air get sucked out of the room. And I just grab the mic. I go, hey, I'm Chris Porter. I'm a comedian and I don't really want me to be here either. And once I was like, hey, listen, I'm going to do 25 minutes of comedy. If you don't laugh and I walk off stage early, there's just going to be that much silence. So we can either sit here and all have a good time, or you can be pissed that Ryan's not out here. Either one.
Yeah.
And then we were off to the races, but the audience was sat and older and we're having a good time. And so it went really well. I opened for Showdown in Kansas City, which was like a thing. I was friends with them long before this. And they're like, we want you to open in Kansas City. I was like, okay. And they were like, we want you to do 45 minutes. I was like, no, you don't. Woo. No, you do not want me to do 45 minutes. I was like, you want me to do like 20, maybe 30. Trust me. So they announced that I was going to be on there weeks in advance. Name was on the marquee. everything. And still, when I went on stage, people were like, "Oh, fuck." Like, they were so mad. And that was a thing where, like, the front of, like, I don't know, 3,000 people at a theater, 1,000 up front were into the show, and then you could hear the 2,000 in the back just talking to each other. And
Yeah.
it was as good as it could have been, which wasn't great. That being said, I would have done it 100 more times.
It's that training, it's the training kicks in. And that's what a lot of folks don't realize about stand-up comedy is that it's you never start out playing sold out clubs. Forget theaters. You never even sell out a 150 seat comedy club to start out. And so you develop this toolkit that is, how do I approach a show if there's 6 people in the crowd? How do I approach a show if there's 20 people in the crowd, but it's a huge space? Or how do I approach opening for something where there's 10 people that are sat and ready to laugh, and then there's 100 people that are still ordering their drinks? And it's like, we're just so kind of trained for every situation that you just get to a venue. It might be bigger or smaller, but you can apply all of that to whatever the specific situation is. And when you've been doing it as long as we have, it's like nothing really throws you off that much,
No, and I was definitely nervous before that show. Like, even my buddy Zach Myers like looked at me. He was like, "I've never seen you nervous before a show." And I was like, "Yeah,
You
because
could tell.
I've never had to do this shit before. Like, if I've had to do if I have to do rooms of 3,000 people, usually they're there to see the comic that's after me. You know what I'm saying? But like, they're not here. They're not there to see a band. Like, and comedy's so subjective. And also, Shinedown does not curse on stage, which is very rare for a hard rock band. But they even said, they're like, we went to so many festivals where all the bands were like, "What's up, motherfucker?" They're like, we just needed a way to stand out. So I was like, "Oh, I just won't say fuck." And the band was like, "No, say fuck a couple times." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But then you see there's like an 8-year-old like right there. And you're just like, "Fuck." Oh, I said it again. And so it was what it was. I got through it, and the band took care of me for that gig. So that was fun. And there are yeah, we did a thing with Shinedown where like I interviewed them, and then they like performed in New York, and there was talks of us doing like a thing like that on tour, but then the coughing started.
Then the bat consuming started, and then we just haven't looked back.
Have you had bat? It's really good. You can't blame them.
I have not yet, and don't think I'm ever going to do it now. But the last thing I wanted to quickly ask you is because we were both going to go jump out of an airplane. Steve Byrne had hooked up, our good comedian buddy Steve Byrne had hooked up this jumping with the Army Black Knights out of an airplane, and I couldn't go the day of, and you went, and I texted you like a nervous little kid, and I was like, hey, how was it? Are you alive? What's it like jumping out of an airplane with a bunch of Army Rangers?
Well, and just to be so that the guy that I was strapped on doesn't kill me, it's the Golden Knights.
Oh, the Black Knights. I was thinking Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
So it was really cool. John, what's his face? I can't remember his last name, but he was a vet, and he's a comic, and he's gonna be mad at me anyway. So a bunch of us went, and it's insane. Luckily, you don't have to jump. They tell you right before you get on the plane, they're like, "Hey, don't worry about jumping. As long as you don't scream, 'I'm not going,' you're jumping. Like, I got you." Because I think at the moment that we left the plane, it would have been hard for me to move my legs. And but it was the single scariest moment of my life, immediately followed by one of the greatest moments of my life, like within nanoseconds. Because when I was on the edge of that plane looking down, scaredest I've ever been in my entire life. But I just said in my head, "I'm doing this." And he went, and next thing I know, we're in free fall, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever done." by like 1,000 times.
Are you talking to the guy? Can you communicate? Are you yelling? Are you just taking
No,
it in? Like, is there any sort of verbal transaction when you're plummeting to the earth?
no, you got to realize you're doing something like 120 miles an hour straight down. That being said, you don't feel like you're falling in the least. You just feel like you're flying. And but it's all like taps, and there's not much to and like hand signals. But not only are you strapped to a guy, you got to realize the guy that's filming you is also like whipping around you in like a squirrel suit and stuff. So he's also communicating. It's a very surreal experience to be, plummeting to your inevitable death if shit doesn't go right. And then this guy's like in a squirrel suit, just like, what up, what up? And he's waving to you and he's giving all these signs and it's crazy. And meanwhile, you're like, you have to like make sure you stay arched but yeah, it was great. I'd do it again. And also I made like the guy I was strapped to showed up to a show in Wilmington, North Carolina. We got as drunk as I've probably been in 2 or 3 years. Like really got like a pretty good friend out of it on top of it.
That's great, man. That's great. I wish I was available to go. I don't know that I'll ever have that opportunity again, but I get to live vicariously through you and bug you about telling the story every time I hang out with you. So, Chris, got to wrap things up here, but man, I appreciate you joining me. It's always good to see your face, hear your voice. He is a very talented musician out there for everybody listening, but he is not only friends with rock stars, he is a rock star. He's a great comic, and you can check out his special, Man from Kansas, pretty much anywhere you get specials. Is there a preferred way that you want the folks to consume your new special at home?
I mean, I guess Amazon Prime, just because it's the easy. I don't know where else it is, to be honest with you. I know it's not on Netflix, so don't worry about that. And but yeah, I guess Amazon Prime.
Rock
that
on.
Bezos guy is hurting. He needs money.
Yeah. He just got divorced. And so I love the power move that his ex-wife made, because they got divorced and then she immediately took like all the money that he left her and just gave it to all these charities. And she's just like, what, bitch? What?
Yeah. Like how many billion? I think at 4 billion, you're good. You can give the rest of it away.
Yeah. I think, I don't know how much he's worth, but I still hope he's worth enough to buy the Washington football team from Dan Snyder. That's the only thing I really want Jeff Bezos to do. I'm already an Amazon Prime member. It's going to fit perfectly. I'll get a $3 discount on tickets. Everything is going to turn up roses if we just get this transaction done, Chris.
What's your bet on what the name will be changed to?
I think it's going to be Red Tails, or which I'm all for, or Red Wolves got a lot of movement for some reason. Warriors, I'm fine with. You could call them anything. You could literally call them. You could call them the Washington Hogs. You could call them the Washington Mollies. You can call them the Washington Comedians, and I would support the team in full. I'm so happy it's done, and I just want it to get done faster. Although, having said that, you are talking to a guy who ordered $200 worth of new Washington football team merch the day that it was available. So
that stuff will be worth, because they're only going to make that stuff for like 2 years. So that stuff will be worth money in like 25 years.
It's not going to be worth nearly as much as all that hardware that your Kansas City Chiefs going to be reeling in for the next 10 years, dude. You guys got quite a coup going on up there.
I tell you what, that was a good day. That was a good day when you're like, oh no, he's going to be around forever.
Yeah, that's better than winning the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Like the Super Bowl, take it or leave it, but the guy is now inked, and he owns the Royals now, and it's like Patrick Mahomes is just going to be a staple of Kansas City. You're set. Your team is set. You win.
Yeah. There's going to be 1 year where he like takes half the salary cap, but other than that, it's going to be. And you're also talking about a guy who's like, I'm going after Brady's record. I want 7. I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I would say good luck to your Chiefs this season, but I just wish good luck to the NFL to have a season. And then I don't really care to root for teams in sports. I just want to see sports. I just want sports to distract me like the old days.
100%. I never thought I would watch what is basically an NBA scrimmage. But that's what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks.
It's been great. And it's been so good. It's awesome.
It's got to be weird, though. You're like, for those guys to be playing that environment, and it's like, no, man, this is for it all.
Yeah.
Like you got to play really hard. And also the guy in Zoom screen 37 is frozen.
Yeah, you gotta play for the championship tonight, and afterwards in the locker room, nobody's allowed to spray champagne on anybody. Everybody's got to put on their mask. It's gonna be the lamest celebration after a championship of all time.
Yeah, I kind of hope this isn't one of the Chiefs, because here's the deal: no matter who wins the World Series, the NBA, the Super Bowl, it's gonna have an asterisk next to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because you're like, oh, you won the half season. Congrats.
Maybe that's what we call this show. I still haven't come up with a title for this show yet, so maybe I just call it the Asterisk Show. I don't know, but I appreciate you dropping by, man. You're my first official guest as we launch this new little endeavor. So, ladies and gentlemen, he is a man from Kansas. He is my buddy Chris Porter. Chris, be well. Thank you so much. I hope the test results go your way. You're going to be fine either way, and let's do a socially distanced IPA soon, my man. All
right, thanks, Mark. Good to see you, buddy.
That is Chris Porter, and just what a gem of a human being that guy is. One of the funniest comics out there, too. If you get a chance, definitely check out the virtual show that he's doing. Link is in this description, and see him on the road whenever you feel comfortable doing that, because he will tell jokes to you. He'll be on a street corner. He'll be in a half-packed arena because everybody's got to be socially distant, but Chris Porter will show up, and he will make you laugh. So speaking of which, I'm planning a big virtual show myself. I think September 5th is what it's looking like, Saturday night. I'm going to be live from the Viper Room, have a bunch of great comics opening for me. So it's going to be a good time. More ticket information as that becomes available. Hoping to get them on the pre-sale next week, which means that everybody who's a member of my Patreon, Mark Ellis Live, is going to get first crack at those, and you get a special discount. So if you're not already a member of the Patreon, check it out. You don't have to. It's something there for you. My name is Mark Ellis. This is the show where I don't know what it's called yet, but I do know I'm going to be seeing y'all, probably a lot of you in a couple hours on the Showdown. And if not, I'll see you back here next week on the YouTubes. Thank you, each and every one of y'all, for commenting, for clicking the like button, for hanging out with me and Chris Porter. It's been fun. It's been a good first run here. I think all the practice that I did this week finally paid off. And now I just get to say thank you and good night.